The desert of Terith. 9 stretched endlessly beneath the twin suns, shimmering like molten glass. Sergeant Elias Ward trudged forward, his boots sinking into the soft, scorched sand. His canteen clinked faintly against his thigh, half full, maybe less. It had been 3 days since his patrol was wiped out by the plasma storm that rolled across the frontier. He was the last human alive in a place designed to kill everything that breathed. Terith 9 wasn't always this way. Once, it had been a terraforming colony, an ambitious project to turn barren dunes into farmland for the expanding Federation. But the planet's core was volatile, its winds acidic. What the colonists hadn't known was that they were not alone. Deep beneath the dunes, ancient tunnels hid the Dracory, creatures the settlers had mistaken for myth. Dragons, scaled and intelligent, their bodies wreathed in bioplasma. Most fled when the Federation declared the planet uninhabitable. But Elias stayed behind as part of a small cleanup crew tasked with dismantling equipment. When the storm hit, it erased all communications, erased everything. Now he was walking toward what the maps called Point Meridian, the last operational relay tower. If it was still standing, he might send a distress signal. If not, he would die here. Hours passed. The suns dropped low, shadows stretched long, and the air cooled enough for him to remove his helmet. The silence of the desert pressed on him like weight. He was about to rest when he heard it, a sound like whimpering. Cautious, he raised his rifle and followed the noise to a dune's base. There, half buried in dust and scorched glass, lay a creature no larger than a human child. Scales dulled, wings torn, a long tail twitching weakly. A Dracory hatchling. It blinked up at him through smoke-gray eyes, its breathing shallow. Around its neck hung a shard of broken metal, perhaps a piece of armor or a clan crest. Its lips, thin membranes lined with faint luminescence, moved weakly. Elias couldn't understand the words, but the tone was unmistakable. It was begging. Then it raised its claw slightly, pointing to his belt, the canteen. Elias froze. The memory of the war flashed through him. Soldiers burned alive by dragon fire, cities lost to their storms. Every survival instinct screamed to leave it. It was a predator, even if small. But the sound it made next, soft, almost human, broke him. He unhooked the canteen. The water inside sloshed faintly. He knew this was his last supply. The next well was a day's march away. Still, he crouched, unscrewed the cap, and tilted it toward the little creature's mouth. The hatchling hesitated, then drank. But Elias didn't stop. He kept pouring, steady and patient, until the last drop was gone. The hatchling tried to pull back, perhaps realizing what he was doing, but he only smiled faintly. "Drink," he whispered. "You need it more than I do." When the canteen was empty, he let it fall. The little dragon looked at him in disbelief, then pressed its snout gently against his gloved hand. Its body glowed faintly, scales pulsing with weak blue light. Elias sat beside it until exhaustion dragged him down into sleep. When dawn rose again, the hatchling was gone. For a moment, Elias thought he'd imagined it. Heatstroke, hallucination. But then he saw something glinting in the sand, a small shard of crystal, warm to the touch, thrumming faintly like a heartbeat. He pocketed it and resumed walking toward Point Meridian. His lips cracked, throat dry, legs trembling. But a strange calm carried him. He had done something right, even if it killed him. By midday, his vision blurred. The horizon rippled and bent. He stumbled, fell to his knees, and laughed weakly. The tower's silhouette shimmered in the distance. A mirage, maybe. Then the ground trembled. At first it was subtle, like distant thunder. Then it grew, sand erupting upward, the air vibrating. Elias tried to raise his rifle, but couldn't. A massive shape rose from the dunes, scaled wings, molten eyes, a shadow that blotted out the suns. A Dracari elder. It landed before him, its wings sending shockwaves of dust across the plain. Its voice came, deep and resonant, vibrating through his bones. "You gave water to my child." Elias couldn't move. The dragon's eyes were not filled with hatred, but something ancient, sorrowful. "I did," he rasped. "Didn't know it was yours." The creature lowered its massive head, nostrils flaring as it studied him. "Few among your kind would give mercy to ours. You offer life where others offered fire." Elias coughed, barely managing a smile. "Guess I was tired of killing." The dragon's gaze flicked to his cracked lips, the empty canteen. Without another word, it exhaled, slow, steady. A mist of shimmering vapor surrounded him. It smelled of ozone and iron. When it touched his skin, the burning thirst vanished. The moisture in the air condensed, forming a small pool beside him. Clear, cold, and real. "Drink, human."
He did.
The water tasted impossibly clean, like rain after centuries of drought. When he looked up, the dragon was still watching him. "My name is Valeth," it said, "and my son, whom you saved, bears your scent still. For this, your name will be known beneath the sands and among the stars." Elias tried to laugh, but his throat trembled. "I'm not looking for fame, just a way home." Valeth's eyes flickered. "Then home you shall have." The air shimmered, and from the horizon came a low hum. Metal, engines, energy. A Federation transport, descending like a falling star. Elias blinked in disbelief. The relay tower wasn't a mirage. It was real and now broadcasting. "How?" "I awakened it," said the dragon. "Consider this a return for your gift." The ship landed, and human rescuers spilled out, shouting in shock to find him alive. As they carried Elias aboard, he looked back at Valeth. The dragon inclined its head in a slow, solemn bow. "Tell your kind," it said, "that mercy shapes worlds more than war ever could." Elias nodded faintly as the doors closed. Months later, aboard the orbital station above Tereth, 9, debriefers called it a miracle. The Federation wanted to classify the encounter, but rumors spread faster than orders. Soldiers whispered of a man who gave his last water to a dying enemy and was saved by dragons themselves. Elias recovered slowly. The crystal shard the hatchling left pulsed sometimes, glowing faintly in his palm. He kept it beside his bed, a reminder of that day in the desert. Then one night, the shard flared bright. He looked out the viewport. In the distance, among the cold stars, vast silhouettes moved, winged forms gliding through the void, their bodies outlined by blue fire. The Dracari, not as invaders, but as guardians, circling the planet they once called home. Elias smiled. He knew they were watching the human who gave what little he had, and in doing so, bridged a gap older than war. He whispered to the stars, "Take care of your son." And far below, Tereth, 9 shimmered again, not as a graveyard, but as a beginning.